So many people live with father wounds, mother wounds, and obviously teenage wounds as well. Where do they come from? It's because of the neglect of the mother, the neglect of the father, and obviously also the impact of the teenagers. So if, for instance, the mother would not give the attention, that intimate, close attention to the baby, she leaves the baby with a mother wound of intimacy. Or if there is not that nurture, she leaves the baby with insecurities for the rest of the life of the child. If the father would not affirm the child at 6, 7, 8 years old, he is uncertain on exactly who he is. And then the identity impact age, 10 and 11, same thing. So the child is left with an anchorless, identityless father wound that was inflicted in his life due to the absence of the father. Everywhere we go, we see the impact of father wounds in lives of people to such an extent that I believe that 99% of all problems in marriages can be traced back to the insecurity that came from the mother wound, the father wound, and the teenage wound in the lives of people. I had a friend that I met at university, and suddenly I realized that there was something strange in his behavior. Long before he was ordained as a pastor, he would act like a pastor. There was just this shell that he put on, and he was comfortable in something that was not his own skin. And every time I looked at him, I saw a person not comfortable in his own skin. When I discovered what the reason for this was, I discovered that he grew up very poor, was the first one actually to have the qualification of possibly becoming a pastor, and in those days, the pastor was a very important person in town. So for him, because of his insecurities, he had to mask himself, cover up all the insecurities by an appearance as if he has made it in life. Many people buy things to show people that they've made it in life, which they actually cannot afford. Many people become big jokers, funny people, and actually you never see their sincerity because they mask themselves. And so insecurities are presented in many, many different ways. Problem with that is, in relationships, you don't know who you actually deal with when you deal with someone who has not dealt with his own insecurities. So many father wounds, pain that people carry, so many mother wounds that people carry. I suggest that all trainers and fathers should discover their own insecurities, their own father wounds and their own mother wounds. And we have a long list that you can mark down what is eminent in your life related to that. But the big question is, how do I deal with my father or mother wound? When you have to deal with these wounds in your life, 4 things are important. First, you have to own the wound. So many people go through life playing the blame game or the shame game. The blame game is, my father caused this, my mother caused this, the teenagers caused this, the neighbors, the government, everyone else is to blame, not me. If you blame everyone else, then you do not take ownership of your problem. Shame game is another thing, where you're the victim. So you stab daggers in your heart all the time. Oh, shame, I'm this poor, this, that I'm suffering because of this, that, and the other. That doesn't give a solution. So to get a solution would be to own your problem. Owning your problem means you name the problem. This is my insecurity. I have this insecurity because I had this need. This need was not met. Maybe due to this and this and this that my father did. And now I'm sitting with this insecurity that I really have to work with and to transform into a strength and not deal with this weakness for the rest of my life. Own your problem is the first one. The second one is forgiveness. Now I know not all people find this easy. Forgiveness is maybe one of the most difficult things in life, but it's the most transformative thing in life. Because instead of having an issue that you have to deal with by retaliation maybe, by whatever emotional reaction you have, you've got to receive an abundance of grace somewhere. As a Christian, I believe that is from God and His grace into our lives that floods us with more abundance that we can give to other people so that we will not blame them that they owe us, but we actually owe them by the abundance given by God through His forgiveness of all the sins of our lives. Forgiving a person would not only set the person free, but would set you free. And therefore, to train fathers how to forgive, to train people how to forgive, is maybe one of the most essential things to train them in. First one is own the problem. Second one is forgive by the exchange of, I have experienced this, but I exchange that instead of retaliation, I will give my forgiveness to the other person, and I am set free to live life fully. Own the problem, forgive the person. Then the third one is getting the inner victory. Once you've forgiven a person, you will be pestered by bouts of unforgiveness, by reminders of what actually happened initially. And therefore, you've got to learn to have this daily walk of inner victory in your life, where the negative thought is exchanged by a positive thought. Negative thought of some other people owing me something to the positive thought of I owe them so much. And this is what I want to share with them. That constant inner victory where you capture your thoughts and make it obedient to what Christ wants you to think and to what would be beneficial to other people and yourself. And then the last one in the victory, and that is you can never have a victory if you walk it alone. And therefore we teach fathers how to walk together with other people, to keep them accountable, to help them in this inner victory, to help them in the process of forgiveness, and to be victorious ultimately in this overcoming of my father and mother wounds process in my life. Yes, it is not easy when you start out with big father and mother wounds. But yes, it is possible to overcome that. And yes, you need to be helped, trained, coached to overcome this so that you can become a life coach to others as well. And so that all the insecurities will not be manifested in immature behavior out there in life. And then we will bring heaven to earth, because that is what God intended.